I think one of the takeaways is that when you're inauthentic, you're going to have a culture where there's lots of contradictions. And contradictions are toxic for your culture because the more contradictions that are flowing around, the more likely your employees are going to think the company I work for is a sham.
So the first thing I want to touch on is just a current thing happening today, the Great Resignation. The pandemic really changed the way work happens, and people are not wanting to return to work. And for some, micromanaging might be a big factor in that. What do you guys think about micromanaging's effect on being able to hire people?
Well, I think right now, sort of with the Great Resignation happening, employers might be having a hard time retaining top talent. They might be having a hard time attracting talented people. And a big part of that is that I think people are afraid of going back to a culture where they're going to be micromanaged again, or they're just tired of it. And many times I think that business owners, entrepreneurs are micromanaging without realizing that they're doing it. And so if we want to retain more employees, if we want to attract top talent, we're going to have to learn how to overcome this problem of micromanaging your employees and giving them more freedom. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's just important because this seems to be where the job market is going, that people care more about the environment they're in than even the pay. I mean, there's just too many studies that have shown that people are even willing to work from home for less pay than they are to go into the office, right? And why is that? It's because, well, at home, I'm safe. I don't have to deal with office politics. I don't have to deal with somebody hovering over me. I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So that clearly shows that people want to be treated well. And so that's why this type of topic is so important, because as a leader, it gives you an opportunity to realize the type of culture you're creating through your leadership. And if you're creating a warm environment, a nurturing environment, and really an environment that brings out the best of the people around you, I mean, then you have a greater chance of attracting the top talent, because top talent talks to each other. I mean, it's just how it works. I mean, in our industry, especially as a designer, as a videographer, as one of your job titles, right? That you're talking to many other people that are just like you, and you guys are all spreading the word about where you work, So it's like, even though I know that you guys like me when you're here with me, right? That I'm also not naive to the fact that you're going to tell your wife, you're going to tell your friend, you're going to tell whoever asks you the most common question: what do you do for a living? Where you work? Right? And the minute that you respond to, I work at Digital Blue Beagle, they automatically know, like, I won't even send my kid there. Like my friend hates it. Right? But if you're speaking with, like, man, I work over at Digital Blue Beagle, I feel so fulfilled. Oh my gosh. Like, I've been learning so many things. I really enjoy it. Then the other person's thinking, well, let me know if there's a job opening. If something ever comes up, if you guys grow over there, and man, can you bring me on? Dude, please, I really want to get out of where I'm at. So it's important, like, to really think through, like, what the environment you're creating.
Yeah, I think people want to work for organizations that are authentic. And if an organization claims that we are the kind of organization you can trust our customer service center, you go and you work for them and you realize that front-facing, we say we're all about trust, but behind the scenes, there's all this micromanaging going on, makes you feel like they don't trust you. Then you feel deep down that the organization is inauthentic. And in 2021, 2022, it's going to cost you to be inauthentic. You're going to have to live your story.
We've said this on the Brand Outlaw before. Keep your brand promise. And that's not just an external customer-facing thing. That's got to be internal too, because if you're branding yourself as a trustworthy company and you have a great culture and you're trying to improve the culture outside your business, But inside your business, it's terrible, and employees feel smothered. They feel like they can't do their best work. And then they tell other people about it. That's terrible word of mouth for your business, because then people are like, wow, so they say they're this, but they're actually something negative, and then you're going to lose customers. You're going to lose brand equity from that.
Absolutely. There's a quote from Seth Godin that goes, if you're authentic, then all the details will line up. Your menu will match your food, which will seamlessly integrate with your staff and your decor. If you commit to a story and live that story, the contradictions will disappear. I think one of the takeaways is that when you're inauthentic, you're going to have a culture where there's lots of contradictions. And contradictions are toxic for your culture, because the more contradictions that are flowing around, the more likely your employees are going to think the company I work for is a sham. And there's a sense of shame that they're going to feel like they're a part of a company that isn't really contributing. They're going to feel like their work isn't contributing. And that's going to create a lot of toxicity about the way they talk to other people about the brand. So it's really, really crucial to be authentic.
What if I told you that the minute you micromanage, you've already created contradiction for your company? Because, I mean, think about the interviews that you've had, right? You get the best version of the interviewer. And it's not just the person trying to apply for the job that's putting, their Sunday best on. It's also the interviewer, because they want to get the right person for the organization. So they're going to be friendly. They might take you out to lunch. They might talk about how amazing it is to work there and all the great employees there, and the culture that we have here is amazing. It's dialed in. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun here. And then the first day at work, they're micromanaging you. Boom, you've already broke your promise right off the start. And think about the thing that has gotten you the most pissed at your job, that has really got underneath your skin, is when promises are broken. Right? Oh, well, if you do this, this is going to happen. That doesn't happen, you get set off. Like, this is not all the stuff that you promised me. And you didn't tell me in an interview that you were going to hover over me. You didn't tell me in the interview that I wouldn't thrive here. You didn't tell me in the interview that I have zero chance of succeeding. You didn't tell me in the interview that I could do 9 things right, and the one thing I do wrong, you're going to just keep rehashing it over and over and over for another 5 years. You didn't say any of these things in the interview. Matter of fact, you said the opposite. Right? So that's why it's important.
Sometimes the interview is a lie. And they're spinning stories to attract you. Yeah. I remember there was an early agency that I interviewed for, and I remember I walked into the interview and they were complimenting me. Man, you look so good. You're just so nice. Your portfolio, it's amazing. And then, I didn't get the job, but then I met someone who worked for the company. And, man, it was a really, I would almost say an abusive culture, where behind the scenes there was a lot of yelling. They were yelling at each other. There were a lot of promises they weren't keeping. It was a culture where you worked 60, 80 hours a week and it was expected of you. There are people experiencing burnout all over the place. But the front-facing story I heard going in was a total lie. Total lie. I did. I'm really thankful about that, actually. I would have worked for them too if they'd offered me the job. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they did all the right stuff in the interview. But, like you said, there's that contradiction.
And that's scary. I think employees are, I don't know about you, Matt, but I know that I'm kind of scared to apply for jobs, because you never know what the smoke screen is. Where are they telling me to get me in the doors, and then what is it going to look like once I'm hired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's why I think in interviews, it's really great if someone comes in and during the interview process, you're very open about, we offer flex hours here. We're not a 9 to 5. We are not a micromanaging culture. We're going to let you take ownership, and we might have a meeting every so often to evaluate how things are going, but I'm not going to call you at midnight, right, asking you for a progress report, right?
Yeah,
And keeping that brand promise with your employees, it creates brand ambassadors. Every employee is someone who's going to talk up your company. Rather, if there's a company T-shirt or something, they're proud to wear that in public. You don't want them like, oh, great, I got a crappy T-shirt from my employer. I'm going to stick that in my drawer.